Hello there, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another episode of CookieCast. So in CookieCast, it's the NFL podcast, Laces Out, and it is time, ladies and gents. It's that time of year, it's that time of the season, it is the big one. No, not the Pro Bowl, that was last week. It's the Super Bowl, baby! New England Patriots are back, but so are the Seattle Seahawks, and it's going to be an absolute banger of a game. At least, hopefully. Find out what me and Paul think is going to go down, see who we've got as our winners, and a whole host of other picks. Hey, it's the Super Bowl after all. You got to pick them. Before we get started, please do consider like, share, subscribe, and comment. Leave a review where you can leave a review. Share the podcast around. I know it's not quite the last one, nearly the last one, but there's plenty to be going out. There's the back catalogue, there's the other podcasts we do. Share it around. Somebody might thank you and say, hey, I found my new favourite podcast. Right. This is it. Let's get started. Here we go. This is CookieCast. Laces Out.
That is correct, ladies and gentlemen. Recording is very much in progress. And that means that for, I was about to say, the final time this season.
Penultimate.
But it is the penultimate, because obviously anything that happens past this coming Sunday will be wrapped up in next week's wrap-up show. So this is our penultimate podcast of the season from a Laces Out NFL podcast perspective. For those of you joining us on YouTube, you'll have already seen that it's myself and my glamorous co-host, Mr. Andrew Cook, joining us. But for those of you listening to the podcast, you have already heard his dulcet tones alongside mine. So, without any further ado, Mr. Cook, how are we, sir?
I'm sad. Not gonna lie. I'm sad. I'm sad about many things, one of which is somebody, it's not a blame culture, Paul. I don't want you to think that this is a blame culture, but somebody promised us guests.
Yeah, so...
No blame culture. No blame.
Full disclosure. One of the guests was never going to be on because he's very busy with degree-based,
bettering himself as a person, I suppose.
Degree-based studies. The other potential guest was not able to join us as he's currently sat in a football stadium. Not to date the podcast in any way, shape, or form. But he is currently watching Hull versus Watford. A game that should have actually been played around the turn of the new year, but was called off because not the pitch was frozen, but the surrounding areas of the pitch were frozen. Ooh, it did not go down well with the masses that had travelled down from up from Watford, should I say. So, yes, the less we say about that, the better. But, yes, unfortunately, the two people that we were hoping to have on as guests, that we have had as guests in the past, sadly unable to join us. So it will just be myself and Mr. Cook. And, may I say at this point, it's been just the two of us all season, and we've not needed guests up to this point. So why...
I seem to think I alluded to this fact last week that whether we had guests or not, we had not only done every week of the season without a guest, but we'd done every week of the season. In the past, like the Christmas, New Year break would sort of take us down in some way, shape, or form. You know, somebody would have a Christmas meal, or it fell on a bad day, but we have managed to do not only every week, but every week guest free. And quite frankly, it's been delightful. And cannot get enough of not having to deal with all of that nonsense. I jest, obviously. I love having a guest. Next season, what we should do is we should have nothing but guests.
Multiples each week. Yeah. And then obviously guests as well. So, yes. So as Mr. Cook said, no guest, but obviously we do still get to talk about the upcoming big game. And I think we might have said this in last week's show when we were covering the championship games. I don't know if it's the same for you, but it just doesn't feel like it's Super Bowl season. Do you know what I mean? I don't know if it's because it's the teams involved.
It's very much to do with the fact that the teams involved. I take from this what you will. I personally feel that the NFL felt that there was a little too many eyes pointing a little bit too much in their direction when there was a little bit too much Shanahanigans going on, and I think they were like, let's just lowball this, let's just slow roll it, let's just put one straight over the plate. Other sports analogies are available, and let's get back to business as usual next season. But for this season, let's just have it low and slow. And I think it was the perfect season for the Patriots to go because of a multitude of reasons. Other teams not being in it feels great. And you're kind of like, I don't care that it's the Patriots. It was the perfect kind of storm from that sense. The Seahawks have been nothing short of amazing all season. In a lot of ways, it feels very right. And particularly quiet. It's like a low power version of the Super Bowl. Yeah. It's weird because I was saying like up till a week ago, I had that realization that I was still in a world where I could end up with a Super Bowl that I didn't want to watch. And that has been a bit of a theme for a few years, when like, oh, the Patriots are back again. From that time to a run of, oh, this could be a good one, and oh, this might be a good one, and then after that, a run of, oh, this shit again. Almost immediately after the Patriots dynasty, to then, like I keep saying, there's always that possibility of a team where you're like, I really wish it wasn't them. And it's refreshing. And I think that's what the objective was. I think it was a palate cleanser. It's the sorbet of Super Bowls. Just a little before we get back to a Chiefs-Eagles Super Bowl next year.
Yeah, I mean, I covered it in last week's show. I think for me, the second the Bills got eliminated from the postseason, that kind of sort of shut off a little bit because, and like I said, I'm not a Bills fan. I wouldn't class myself as a Bills fan, but I'm a fan of good players, if that makes sense. And I think that Josh Allen is one of, he's certainly in the top 2 or 3 quarterbacks that I've seen in the time that I've been watching the NFL. I would certainly say, and I think it's going to be a massive shame if he goes his entire career without winning a Super Bowl. Even if he goes his entire career with like not even getting to a Super Bowl. So for him to keep getting so close and then consistently fall at the hurdles that are put in front of me, it's just disappointing to see. And yeah, I just don't know why, but for some reason, like that kind of I think it was. I think it was because it was the loss, and then couple that with the fact that the Broncos lost Bo Nix. It was kind of the double whammy of, well, the AFC Championship game is not going to be as good as I wanted it to be because the Bills aren't in it, and it's been completely spoiled by the fact that the Broncos starting quarterback won't be playing either.
Yeah.
So we kind of lost two teams in the same game, if that makes sense. But yeah, I mean, like, I'm sure that once I'm sat at the pub and I'm insert number of beers here deep, I'm sure it'll be a completely different flavour, and I'll be going wild when the third or fourth string Seattle cornerback picks off Drake May for the 8th time that quarter, and is just ramming it down the Patriots' throat and stuff like that. But that's somewhat of a spoiler because I'm getting into the picks that we'll be making later on in the podcast. So let's dilly dally no further. I believe, if I'm correct, that the Stats Mistress has been burrowing away in the background, and she's furnished us with some delicious, juicy statage ahead of the big game.
All her Joe Burrows, because she has done a 2-week stat collection mission to bring us what could be the finest stats you're ever going to find. I'm sure there was something in the thing that mentioned something. I wasn't sure what that bit of the title meant, so I just left it. So these are the Super Bowl stats. These are the stats going into the Super Bowl. There are many. So we should get started. The first one is, with the Patriots and Seahawks going to Super Bowl LX at Levi Stadium in Santa Clara on February 8th, this will be a Super Bowl between two teams, both led by defensive coaches for the first time in 9 years in this 2015 Super Bowl rematch. Now, I don't want to say that the NFL love a good made-up stat, but to start with that one has got to be second stat. The past regular and postseason, Patriots head coach Mike Vrabel reached several milestones. First, he became the 8th head coach in NFL history to lead his team to a Super Bowl in his first season with a new team. Also, he tied the league record for the best one-season turnaround after recording 14 wins to last year's 4. I saw an interview. Obviously, it's Super Bowl week, so there's shed loads of things going on. I saw Mike Vrabel being interviewed today on a video where a reporter asked him, is this a must-win game? And his response was, do I think the Super Bowl is a must-win game? Yeah, they're kind of all must-win games, but probably the Super Bowl's the biggest must-win game. And when you're like, like you get like that contact cringe. You're like, oh my. Number 3, second-year quarterback Drake May will be looking to win his first Super Bowl against the Seattle Seahawks. May, former UNC quarterback, was the 3rd pick in the 2024 NFL Draft. In just his 2nd season, May has only led the Patriots to the Super Bowl, but is an MVP candidate behind Matthew Stafford. Maybe he can buy himself an MVP. Number 4, Seattle have previously lost a Super Bowl to New England in 2015, when Russell Wilson was notoriously intercepted just before scoring what would have been the winning touchdown. I saw I wasn't sure if it was that serious, but I saw a thing that apparently there was a petition to get the Seahawks to sign Marshawn Lynch on a 1-week contract to send him out for one play and to get him to run it in. And as I said, it is Super Bowl week, and it's great to be able to see like some of the crazy interviews that are going on and all this. But just to have Marshawn Lynch out there doing, I would say the Lord's work, but I've seen so many Marshawn Lynch videos. I saw one where he was talking to Bill Maher about strip clubs. I've seen him. He's got some advert going on at the moment where he's got a squire, and there was another one where he's just out there in the world, just doing what Marshawn does. So yeah, it's great to see he's back in the sphere, let's say. That's it for me. I gave you big, juicy stats. I believe one of your stats is monstrous because it has bullet points.
Yeah, I'm seeing an awful lot of writing.
Many words. Many words.
The general consensus is that the Seattle Seahawks are rightly favoured. Many are pointing towards New England coming out of a weaker than usual AFC and Seattle spotting one of the NFL's best balanced teams, buoyed by an elite defence and efficient play from Sam Darnold and Jackson Smith-Njigba on the offensive side of the ball. That said, proponents of the Patriots have been quick to point out that they too spot a high-level defence, whilst Drake May's MVP-level performance in the regular season gives the team a glimmer of hope as underdogs against the Seahawks. We'll get into all the betting stuff in the next segment, obviously, where we make our bets and we go through all the odds for certain elements and stuff like that. USA Today Sports used a simple process to have Meta predict the result of Super Bowl 60. The AI chatbot was asked, can you predict the winner and score for Super Bowl 60? And can you predict who will be the Super Bowl 60 MVP? Meta AI responded with the following: Seattle Seahawks 24, New England Patriots 20. Meta AI is backing the Seahawks as the chatbot believes Seattle has an edge on both sides of the ball in its matchup with New England. It likes the Seahawks' strong defense and has confidence in Sam Darnold amid his impressive performance in the playoffs. Meta also opined fans should expect a defensive battle in Super Bowl 60, as the Patriots' defense is also top-notch. If you thought former NFL quarterback Tom Brady, who won 6 Super Bowls with the New England Patriots, would root for his former employers in Super Bowl 60, you'd be bang wrong. I don't have a dog in the fight in this one, the Fox Sports NFL analyst said in the latest episode of his Let's Go podcast. May the best team win. I want to see good plays, good throws, good strategy, good decisions, Brady said. Oh, God, you can practically scrape the level of smugness off him with every passing sentence that he says.
I saw a video earlier this week which broke down Tom Brady's contract with Fox and just violently sick at just like some of the numbers, some of the things in his contract, some of the I think one of the somewhat underrated, but at the same time, you're like, he has to commute. They use that word in a $20 million G5. Paid for by Fox. That doesn't come out of his salary, wage, contracted money in any way, shape, or form. He will earn $375 million by the end of his contract, non-negotiable, $375 million by the end of his contract, which I think is 5 years. He will be on every Super Bowl between now and then, and he will work a total of 20 days a year. Those are just some of the caveats and contract stipulations. Tough work if you can get it, I guess.
It is a bit ridiculous. So, next bit. Super Bowl prop bets to make now that might make you money on Sunday. There is a bracket of no guarantees here. So, the lines. Drake May, Patriots quarterback. Passing yards. They're saying to take the over on 221.5 passing yards. So they think he will throw for 222 yards or more in the game. They also think they're taking the over on 22 pass completions. I think they've got that slightly wrong. I think that would have to be over on 22.5 or 21.5 because the betting lines normally are half a point for the line. So you've got a definite over or under rather than a push if he was to make exactly 22 completion. Hunter Henry, Patriots tight end, 4 receptions or more. Again, the betting line for that would be over 3.5 receptions. Jackson Smith and Jigba, Seahawks wide receiver, over 7.5 receptions. And their final one is Kenneth Walker II. Sorry, Kenneth Walker III. I'm doing him out of a person.
A generation.
Yeah, very much so. Seahawks running back, first touchdown scorer.
Not a bad shout.
Whether myself or Mr. Cook agree with any of those, we will see very shortly. And the final stat or information we have for the game is the Super Bowl halftime show is the marquee event amongst performances, widely considered the biggest stage in the world due to its viewership consistently exceeding 100 million annually. They really need to do their own work. I know the World Cup's only played every 4 years, but oh my god, the World Cup final absolutely shits all over the Super Bowl when it comes to viewing figures. The headliner, the Super Bowl 60's halftime show, is 6-time Grammy winner Bad Bunny, otherwise known as WWE part-time superstar Bad Bunny, of course, who is coming off an Album of the Year award win at the 68th Annual Grammy Awards. Whilst the halftime show will be the highlight of Super Bowl 60, several other artists will perform at the NFL Championship game, including Super Bowl 60's opening performance by noted Donald Trump non-backers Green Day. That will be interesting. That just to sort of like go back to the Bad Bunny thing. I saw something today that says apparently he's the first person to win the Album of the Year for an album that is entirely not in English.
Yes, I saw that as well.
Thought that was quite an interesting little ditty.
Yeah.
So that is all of the stats. So that brings us to the end of that portion of the podcast, which means we'll now start talking about our bets, our thoughts, our feelings about the game to come. So, as we've done for all the games over the course of the season, we will make a pick on who we think will win the game. But we won't just stop there. We'll also go for the score that we think the game will finish, the first and last touchdown scorers, the game's MVP. Our most important selection is, of course, the correct colour of the Gatorade shower for the winning head coach, and something new that we might put in for the Super Bowl for this season is a bet that we've seen where we feel that it's almost too good an opportunity to pass up, or it's something that we've seen whilst placing bets that we feel is something that's worth passing on for people to have a go at betting on in a chance to potentially make a little bit of cash. So, I have all of mine written down, with the exception of the Gatorade shower, as I want to see the odds first, and that may sway my decision. But I will go to Mr. Cook first for his winning team in the Super Bowl. So, do you have the New England Patriots or the Seattle Seahawks to win the game? Do I even need to ask?
I imagine not. It's one of those things. I have not hated watching the Patriots this season. I'm happy to a degree that they're back in the Super Bowl. I'm happy for them to go to the Super Bowl. I think they've done amazing stuff to get there. I think all of the stuff in the stats stand. They are a team that's good on both sides of the ball. I think they've drafted really well to get the quarterback they've got. They've got an amazing defense. Everything's working for them. I don't think they've got anywhere near enough to take care of this Seahawks team. This Seahawks team is lethal. They seem to just have all the weapons. You want someone to throw the ball to? I think I said this last week. You want someone to throw the ball to? We've got you covered. You want an absolute monster of a defense? Yep, we've got that too. You want a quarterback who has been underestimated by previous teams, but apparently turned out to be a good quarterback? Yep, we've got you covered. What more? What do you want? We've got it, and we've got plenty of it. I just think that they're just going to be too much. I see it being a very close game. My score is going to be close. One, because I just think it's going to go that way. Two, see every single week of this podcast this year. So yes, Seahawks for me, please.
Yep, I am in agreement on that one. Yeah, everything that Mr. Cook has said, I would echo the sentiments of exactly. I think they're just stronger on both sides of the ball. I was going to say a much better coach on both sides of the ball, but I think that would be doing a bit of a disservice to Vrabel. Vrabel's been very, very good.
Yeah. Yeah, very good.
To be fair, so I think it would be unfair of me to say that they're a better coach, to be honest with you, because the fact that, like we said, we covered it in the stats, the fact that he's turned them from a 4-13 to a 13-14 is insane.
Crazy turnaround.
So, but like you said, I just think that whilst the Patriots defense is good, I think the Seattle defense is stellar.
Yeah. Absolute worldly defense.
And Jackson Smith-Njigba is probably the best receiver in the game currently.
Yeah.
I'd argue that Kenneth Walker's a better running back than Ramondre Stevenson. And yeah, I just think that even the sort of the secondary receivers that Seattle have got in relation to the team are better than what New England have got to go up against them. So I too have gone with the Seattle Seahawks. Now, I think I have a slightly different score to what you have by the sounds of things, but my score will become more apparent when it comes to my last touchdown scorer. So I'll go to you first for your score that you think the game will finish as.
So my biggest issue I had was I'd picked my score for this game a while ago. And then it was the score that came out in the stats. And I was like, I don't want to be like, oh, that's the score I'm going with. So I was like, I think there's a possibility of high scorer. Like, I don't think we're going to get quite into the 40s, but part of me thinks it could go into the 30s. So I was like, can I be bothered to work it out? And in the end, I was like, no. So I'm just going to go with a 34-30, obviously, to the Seahawks. I'm sure there's some sort of maths I could do to work it all out to see if that's even remotely possible, but hey, I'm lazy.
Yeah, I think you're fine by that. I did a quick sort of top in my head as to whether my score could be got to, and it definitely can. So I am in agreement in the fact that I think one of the teams will get to 30. But I've gone for 37-17, and the whole point, the reason why I've gone for that is because I think that Seattle will be up by a score at least, if not two, and that the Patriots will be chasing the game come the fourth quarter, and then something might happen, which is the last score of the game. But I'll get that when it comes to the last touchdown scorer section. So before we get to the last touchdown scorer, we of course have to pick the first touchdown scorer. So because I've got mine written down, I haven't gone with the favourite, which I believe is Kenneth Walker. I've gone with probably what is the second favourite. Now let me just get the odds up with Sky Bet, and I'll just be able to rattle some of these off for you. Oh, by the way, just noticed there, if you like the odds for both teams to score 20 points plus, Sky are offering a price boost currently of 6-5.
Really?
Yes, indeed. So Super Bowl 60, first touchdown scorer, current favourite at 7-2 is indeed Kenneth Walker. Second favourite at 5-1 is my pick of Jackson, Smith, and Jigba. I think everyone will be thinking that Seattle are going to run the ball. They're just going to sort of run it as much as they need to. I think that's what New England are going to think as well. And I believe that is where they'll get a little bit tricky with their routes. And Jigba, Smith and Jigba will probably get himself clear. And we could even see a big bomb for the first touchdown scorer. So I've gone for Jackson, Smith, and Jigba at 5-1. Mr. Cook, your first touchdown scorer, please.
Yeah, this one's coming out of left field. And this one is also my surprise bet. For reasons I'm about to reveal. My first touchdown scorer is Drake May.
Okay.
Seattle have had an absolute banging season. They have an amazing defense. There is one position that they have struggled with at defense, and that's quarterback. Knowing what the New England Patriots are like, they are going to be trying to find any cracks, any holes, anything that they can to get the upper hand in this game going up against a super dominant team. And you can't tell me that their stats aren't going to reveal quarterback. So I think they're going to get it down the field as best they can and then do the thing that nobody's going to expect. Send the big man in, get him to get the first score. I also think they're going to get the first score. I think they are going to score first to send a message, because obviously they are the quote unquote underdog in this game. I think then they need to get that score out early. So Drake May is my first scorer and my surprise bet.
So, if you like the idea of Drake May being your first touchdown scorer, you can get onto 14-1 with Sky Bet for that. So, like I said, next we'll be discussing our last touchdown scorer. But before we do the last touchdown scorer, we're going to step away for 2 seconds. So don't go anywhere. We will be right back after this. Just like that, the break is over. We are back to discuss Super Bowl LX, or 60, as it's known to the layperson, and the last touchdown scorer in the game. Now, I alluded to this somewhat earlier in the fact that I believe the Seahawks will be up by a number of scores, and that the Patriots may be chasing the game. And as such, I have my last touchdown scorer down as a Seattle defensive score.
I had a feeling that's the way you were going.
I've just got a vision of Drake May sort of scrambling to try and sort of make something happen, forcing a deep ball downfield, picked off by the Seattle defense, and sent back all the way for a Seattle touchdown. Now, odds-wise, if you want the Seattle defense as a last touchdown scorer, you can get them at odds of 20-1.
Good money-wise.
Which I do like the look of. Alternatively, if you liked that, just as either team, as like a defensive nature to score the final touchdown, you can also get the New England defense to score the last touchdown at 33-1. If there's any people out there that like an anytime touchdown scorer bet, you can get an anytime Seattle defensive score of 11-2, and an anytime New England defensive score at 17-2. So,
yeah, one of each, please.
I'm no mathematician, but I would say if you were to add those two as a bit of a double, if you fancy that the defense might have a little bit more to say than usual in this particular game, then I imagine a double up on the anytime defensive scorers would hello. That'll net you a cheeky 67-1. And speaking of that, I will indeed have that as my surprise / must-have bet.
Nice.
An anytime defensive duo score-wise. So both
delicious.
Both D/ST to score a T Dizzle. Who have you picked, sir, to be the last touchdown scorer in the game?
I feel somewhat of a vanilla pick. It's just, for example, if the score goes the way you've got it down as scoring, I think there'll be a bit of a shoe-in towards the back end, and I think they'll just be making points by the back end of it. Not like points in the game. I mean, they'll just be like, "Here, watch this," kind of thing. So I have the favorite. I have old Kenneth Walker III to get the last score of the game. I imagine his dominance in this game is going to be off the charts. And I think that there's that potential to be like, look, we've won this game, we've won it comfortably, let's just take it home. And I think they'll just run it across the line towards down to the last couple of minutes, where the Patriots can't come back, and then they'll just be like, just run that one in for us. Kind of makes it a little bit of a poetic kind of choice as well, that sort of stuff. I did sort of draw attention to the Kenneth Walker, Marshawn Lynch sort of similarities. I think, there's a possibility he's trying to build that kind of, is he the next, etc. When we all know there is no such thing as the next Marshawn Lynch. He is an enigma. So yeah, I just felt like there's a possibility the game has kind of petered out somewhat by that point, and it'll just be like, look, just put a bow on it and let's go home. As the Seahawks seem to have felt all season, they feel like very much a team that's just like, go out, get it won, go home. Like no standing on ceremony, just get it done. So I feel like the season might end the way it's been played up to this point.
Yeah, don't mind it. And he's exactly the same odds to score the last touchdown as he used to score the first touchdown at 7-2.
Yeah, not surprising.
I'm now currently scrambling around to try and find the MVP odds, and I'm not seeing it. So you might have to talk amongst yourself for 2 minutes.
Again, as far as MVP is concerned, I've toyed with like choice here, choice there, choice, and I'm like, there's that whole thing of it's very rare that it's not a quarterback. You know, it has to be like a real sort of sterling standout effort from another player that it's not a quarterback. And purely for that, like that informed my choice quite early on in this process. I think likewise, if, for example, the Patriots were able to do it, there's no question in my mind who the MVP would be. So just like if it was that way around, for me, I don't think there's any reason to not, I suppose, give him his flowers in a sense of just saying, like, you know, you bounced around a bit, you never really found like the right sort of position or whatever. But you do seem to have found a home here with us, kind of deal. So, in case you haven't guessed, it's for me, it's Sam Darnold. I just think if it goes the way I think it's going to go, it makes the most sense. Yeah, I mean, they've got, like you say, they've got possibly the most dominant running back in the league, and other options, which I think is largely what this team has going for them. There's so many options. But I think the most poetic, maybe, would be for it to be Sam Darnold.
Yeah, I fully agree. I also have gone for Sam Darnold. Little outside shout here, just based off what he did in the divisional round against the 49ers with the kick return. I think if you get a big sort of special teams play by Rashid Shaheed, again on kickoffs, and obviously the fact that he'll be in the game as a receiver as well. I think there's all sorts of likelihoods that if he has a big game and Darnold throws a couple of interceptions and stuff, and the Seahawks still end up winning, I think it is likely that you could see something like that come to pass. In that you see someone like a Shaheed, or obviously if Njigba has 10 receptions for like 200, close to 200 yards and a touchdown or something like that in the game. Or if Kenneth Walker like runs in for 3 touchdowns and like 150 yards, something like that. You're looking, it's going to be Darnold unless there's a stellar sort of big time performance from somebody else in the game.
Yeah, absolutely.
So everyone will be shocked to hear he's a 6-5 favourite. Drake May is the 9-4 second favourite, and then we start getting into Jackson Smith and Jigba, Kenneth Walker, Ramondre Stevenson. And then Rashid Shaheed is 40-1 alongside Stephon Diggs. So, yes, I mean, one that would tempt me slightly is the fact that Cooper Kupp is 100-1 and has won it before, obviously.
When I was going through all of my stuff, I was like, obviously, if there's a player out there that has an absolute stellar, maybe a Cooper Kupp. So, yeah, I had considered it. Worth pounds.
So that just leaves us with the most important bet that anyone will make in the entire game, and it's not on the section that I need it to be.
It's super annoying to find it. I hate when I have to go looking for it because it's never where you want it to be.
It was there. I'd seen it earlier on.
You come into like specials or something.
So whilst I'm looking through it, just talk us through your sort of fascination with this little ditty, because obviously, it's been on the docket for a number of years now.
It's always been like a weird, like some sort of strange fascination with me on the fact that it's an option you can bet on. You can legitimately put money down and bet on it. And for years I was like, but why? It'll be orange. It was like this thing. And then as the years went on, it was almost never orange. And it was like, well, wait, what colour will it be? And it just became this huge thing. Like year on year, I was like, yeah, but we don't care who's going to win the game. We just need to know what the colour of the Gatorade shower is going to be, because that's the most important part. And the fact that they started adding a cheeky side to it, where they were like, it's either this or there isn't one. And I was like, oh, well, now we're playing all the odds of this, because, there was 1 year where they didn't do the Gatorade shower. I was like, who won? And it caused a little bit of controversy around the betting community that bet on silly things. So, yeah, I got a little obsessed with it. Then what made it worse was I 1 year jokingly picked the most random colour, and it was that colour, and I won money and was like, wait. And then I'd had a run of like picking the correct colour for a while. So yeah, just strange obsession with a weird bet. Have you managed to locate it? Because it's a pain in the ass to find.
I have not, and I'm annoyed because
it's always the same, isn't it? It's green, blue, yellow/orange, which annoys the shit out of me because I feel that is very much two different colours. Your edge and your bets there. The one that they do now is clear or no shower, and my pick, year in, year out, is the glorious purple. So what's it going to be?
So am I writing you down for purple?
Every year, from now to the end of time, stick me down for purple.
So Andy gets purple at odds of 6-1.
That's not bad. I'm proud of that.
The outsider,
ooh,
of 9-1 is water/clear.
Yeah, sneak that one in.
You can get red or pink at 17-2, and then joint at 11-4. You've got yellow/lime or green, blue, and the favourite is of course orange at 5-2. I don't think I've picked it for a while, so I'm going to go for blue, and there's a bit of a reason behind that. Because I would go so far as to say blue is probably the colour that is closely associated with both teams.
Yeah.
So I think there's a distinct possibility that the old blue Gatorade could be coming out, and I will get odds of 11-4 if that is indeed correct. So I should get clarification. Was your surprise/must-have bet that Drake May will score a rushing touchdown, or was it that he would score the first touchdown?
First touchdown.
Drake May, first TD scorer. Lovely. So, shall we compare our picks to last year's Super Bowl to see if anyone was successful in any of the picks? So, last year, obviously, it was an Eagles-Chiefs Super Bowl. Out of the four people that we had on the show, including myself and Mr. Cook, only one of us picked the Eagles to win, and that was me. None of us got the correct score of 40-22. Jalen Hurts was the first touchdown scorer, which Andy had correctly picked. Xavier Worthy was the last touchdown scorer, which no one had picked. The game's MVP was, of course, Jalen Hurts, which no one had picked. And only one person picked the correct Gatorade shower of yellow/green, which was indeed Mr. Andrew Cook. So he's on. He's got previous, ladies and gentlemen, in as much as he has won on that particular bet in the past. So that's all of our picks done for Super Bowl 60, which just leaves us with discussing the actual evening of the game itself. So I'll ask you to start us off. Will you be taking this in at home, at a friend's house, or anything similar?
No, it's home for me and the Stats Mistress. Not to go too far into the weeds, but this weekend is the absolute worst possible time to have a Super Bowl. And as each day passes, it gets increasingly worse. Like the football gods are against me. However, that will not stop us from trying our hardest to have a Super Bowl Sunday. So we will be taking it in the home, because obviously with the little people, they'll be in bed, so no real option to go out. Years gone by, we've had like people around and stuff, sort of made a thing of it, done like, everybody bring something, or we'll order a takeaway, or those sorts of combinations. I think I have a feeling this is going to sound a lot like last year's. I think there's going to be a lot of home cooking going on. The only place that we had considered getting a takeaway from isn't open on a Sunday, which we have had this issue for years. Like, our absolute favourite takeaway place that we haven't used in years doesn't open on a Sunday. It's like, cool. And then we toy with many different combinations of, well, what about here, and what about there, and what about that? The only thing that might change that is that typically we had a menu come through the door today of our local takeaway, and their menu was absolutely banging. It's like it was specifically made for me. A lot of fantastic vegetarian options. But I believe, as it stands, it'll be this guy in the kitchen. What about yourself? I heard the words pub and beer mentioned.
So, for what is now slowly becoming not tradition, but I would say our go-to watching experience certainly for last year, we went to a pub that is very much walking distance from our good self.
Wow.
And it is next door. It's next door to a curry house.
Oh,
so we met up a little early. I believe it was between 6 and 7 p.m. actually. So very, very early in relation to the actual game. And had ourselves a little curry. Then popped next door to the pub and enjoyed a few light refreshments, shall we say?
Adult beverages.
Ahead of the adult beverages.
No.
Ahead of the kickoff of the big game. Now, this year in particular, one of my friends who I occasionally go to his house to watch the games on a Sunday, has actually taken it upon himself to improve the watching scenario. Now, as good as the setup was last year, it was a one television scenario, and it was a case of everyone cramming around one television to be able to see the game in question. So, as he lives similar to me, quite close to the pub. He's in there quite frequently and has built up a bit of a rapport with the owner. And he was sent through videos this evening of him setting up a streaming option where he casts from his viewing platform onto the TVs, and he has been able to mount a second TV in the pub, or the pub potentially has mounted a second TV. So there are multiple different viewing options for this year's Super Bowl. So we will see whether or not that makes a difference. I'm hoping so, because I believe the idea is that the TV will be bigger and there will be more options for people to sit at in order to watch it. But yes, the curry beforehand will be very nice, I'm sure, as it was last year. Decent curry house, good atmosphere. They have their own alcohol license, so you don't have to take your own beer with you. You can buy beer there, so there's not having to sort of like trug a load of cans and stuff like that across with us. So it seems to be that we've got to a point now where curry seems to be the go-to. Do you reckon you'll try and knock up a couple of pizzas?
So pizza is well and truly on the menu. I believe it's referred to as a health journey. Recently discovered the protein pizza, and it is an absolute favorite in our house, mostly for this guy right here. And I just add more items to it to increase its protein through the roof. And it's absolutely delicious. So that's high on the list. Now then, we do have the enigma to deal with of Leanne Davies, the stats mistress, and quite frankly, who knows where that one's going to come down. It changes by the minute. I couldn't tell you right now what she's planning. I did use the words pizza. I also used the words, maybe you could also have a protein pizza. And I don't really remember what she said. I might start listening to her one day. I think she was like, yeah, but you put loads of stuff on it. I just want it with cheese. I was like, I mean, yeah. However, we are going to be drafting in the emergency tub of sweets for if it gets a little late and you need a little. I will absolutely not be getting on the scales on Monday morning, that's for sure. So yeah, in the past we've done all sorts of stuff. I remember making chili dogs at 3 o'clock in the morning because that seemed like a great idea. Do you know when it wasn't a good idea? 8 o'clock in the morning when I felt like absolute death. Doing a 3-course, one of my favorites was doing the 3-course meal over like a 10-hour stretch of time and then getting up the next day and feeling like I've been hit by a train. Yeah, so you've gotta pace yourself. But we recently realized emergency tub of sweets may be the go-to for, when it's sort of like, I always find it's like halfway through the third quarter where you start doing that kind of, as you watch it and you're like, and you start watching through one eyelid and you're like, because you've had X amount, you've got a belly full of food, and the game you kind of know where it's about going to end up. Obviously, once the fourth quarter kicks off, like the adrenaline spikes, the excitement goes back into overdrive, and it's all that kind of. But yeah, that window, that sort of 15, 20-minute window where you could slip into nappy noodle time. So I believe the idea is to draft in emergency to the sweets. Beverage-wise, are you aiming American or is it just whatever's on draft?
I think with the greatest will in the world, I can try and keep it as American as possible, but I don't think I don't think they will have gone to the effort of specifically trying to obtain American-based beverages. However, I do think it's prudent at this point to point out that I have learned from my mistakes of last year, and pulling the curtain back slightly. Yeah, I have a young son. I've mentioned him on the podcast previously, and on a Monday he goes to my parents, his grandparents' house for childcare purposes. Now, he doesn't get there on his own, obviously, because he's quite young. So I have to take him from my house to their house in order for them to provide said childcare facility. Now, I'd taken the day off work on the Monday because I wasn't getting in until the wee hours of the morning. Very sensible. Hadn't arranged a pickup of the boy from my parents in advance. So getting back through the door at roughly 5 a.m. Then waking up to take him to my parents roughly 2.5 hours later at 7:30 a.m. wasn't an ideal scenario. And it was at this point that I was reminded of the fact that in a haze of joy that the Chiefs hadn't gone back to back to back, one of the gentlemen that I was enjoying the evening with decided it was the best time of night to go to the bar and celebrate by buying three. That's correct, ladies and gentlemen. 3 pints of 10% proof beer. That's a beer that's pretty much sold in halves or thirds. And he decided the best thing to do was to buy 3 pints of it.
No!
It was at this point that 10 minutes after buying them, the bar staff notified us that the bar was closing. So those 10% beers had to be drank incredibly quickly.
No.
So yes, after 2.5 hours kip and definitely a fair amount of adult beverages, I decided the best course of action was to not drive the car. So I had to walk my son to my grandparent to his grandparents' house, which is a good 45 minute to an hour walk away on 2.5 hours sleep. So I have learned from my errors this year, and I have arranged for the pickup in the morning so that I can take my sorry behind back to bed once he has been safely deposited with his grandparents. But yes, beverage-wise, if they've got it and it fits the bill, I will, of course, strive to have as many American-ish beers as possible. Have you placed an order yet for some low ABV American beveraginos?
Funnily enough, I believe you may have heard this one already. I have been saving a particular beer for what is a special occasion. That beer was purchased by your good self as a gift for my good self, and I am absolutely delighted to be taken into it. Unfortunately, it's not an American, but I feel that it is absolutely fitting the bill, as it is a bourbon-esque beer of the non-alcoholic variety. I was that close to saying something that I knew I was going to regret today when Leanne was talking at length about how she'd really love a day off, or she'd really love a day where she didn't have to get out of bed and get the children to where they needed to be and all this and that. And I went, because the tiny bit of my brain went, here's where you get some brownie points, and you say the phrase, "Why don't you stay in bed Monday morning? And I'll get up and sort the children, and I'll get them to where they need to be. I'll sort the dog Don't you worry. I can do it. Knowing full well that that's not even remotely true. Those children would still be at home in bed at 10 o'clock in the morning while the phone's ringing going, where are your children right now? So dodge that one. There is a tiny part of it. My toxic trait is thinking, I can do it. I can be a respectable, responsible parent after 2 hours sleep.
Yes. So that, ladies and gentlemen, has brought us to the end of yet another Laces Out NFL Super Bowl preview prediction show. All that's left of me to do is to thank that gentleman right there for joining me to go through his thoughts and what he thinks will happen in the big game. A big thanks to all of you for listening and watching. Join us again next week where we will go through the goings-on of the Super Bowl. We'll dust ourselves down. We'll stick the NFL podcast back on the shelf for.
I'll spend the first 10 minutes of the podcast dragging the trunk across the room to start putting all of the NFL-shaped toys in it.
It'll go away for 6 to 7 months, and we'll bring it back newly fresh, newly reinvigorated with 2026 energy. In which I'm assuming we'll discuss the fact that there are even more international games that have been announced on the slate for this season. It's definitely getting to the point where they're going to be doing one a week, and they're going to just try and do all 32 teams out there.
Yeah, pretty much. I think that's the next step for them, because I imagine on those weeks where you see like home team stadiums that are a third full, and that's behind the goal as well. That's a bad look for TV. Yet you take it to an international game and there isn't an empty seat in the house, and that right there is a draw. I don't care how you slice it. So it's gonna turn into the F1. It's gonna be in a different country every week.
Wouldn't be surprised. So, yes, join us again next week where we'll go through the details of the Super Bowl, and we'll be coming right back at you with what's the plan to replace the American Football Podcast. But yes, until then, thanks for listening. Go and have a look at the back catalogue. If there's other stuff to fill the void that we'll be creating in a couple of weeks' time. Plenty of stuff from the archives. But until then, it's tatty bye from us, and we will see you next week. Enjoy the Super Bowl. Bye-bye.
So there we go. There it is. What do you think? Do you think we got it close? Do you think we're right? Do you think we're wrong? What do you think? Let us know. Drop us a line, jump over, get one of the social media links, or click the email button on the website, thecookiecast.com. Drop us your picks. Drop us your predictions. Tell us what your betting slip looks like. Not so we can copy it or anything, but find out what happened. Find out whether we got any of our bets, our picks, our whatevers by coming back next week. Between now and then, please consider like, share, subscribe, and comment. Leave a review where you can leave a review. And I already said to nip over to the website. It's nearly over. I'm very sad. I'm very excited. All at the same time. Join us next week to find out what happened. But until then, I'm going to say bye, and I'll see you then.
This has been another episode of CookieCast. If you enjoyed this episode, please like, share and subscribe.